I'm not saying that he's the Messiah, but I think that there's similarities there, and in the basically if you martyr someone, we said this earlier. We said when a king dies, the war ends. When a martyr dies, the war begins.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like war as in like guns and nukes and things like that.
Sure,
I'm saying more spiritual, igniting spiritually this war that people are going to stand up and take their faith as seriously as Charlie did. They're going to stand up and like decide, I'm going to be a voice because this guy was a voice.
Yeah.
And people need to hear that stuff. And just because he's died doesn't mean that. Yeah. And I'm thinking the same way. You know, like I got to be bold.
Yeah. And hopefully Christians in the West that have a biblical worldview and they know that this is a spiritual battle more than a physical, that just as Jesus prayed, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Hey guys, the Jesus Magnet is now partnering with Witness Merch. They've even got a Jesus Magnet tab on their site with our merchandise. Let's check out their video.
At Witness Merch, we're more than just a store. We're part of your faith journey.
Our mission is simple, to provide affordable and accessible Christian merch so you can wear your faith proudly.
Not only do we have a range of trendy Christian merch and gifts, but we also offer customization to reflect your faith.
And above all, every purchase helps gift God's word to others, spreading the gospel message wherever you go.
Hey, welcome back to the Jesus Magnet podcast. I'm your host, Joel. Today we have Joshua joining us on the show here in Chiang Mai. He's a missionary with Within Reach Global.
Yeah, one of those names.
One of those names.
Yeah, Within Reach Global. Yeah.
Also, I know them as the Red Panda crew.
Yeah. Not my choice, but yeah, the Red Panda. Yeah.
You guys are great. I've met heaps of you guys. You're very much associated to the first church we were going to in Chiang Mai, Victory.
Okay.
So I got to meet David Johannes. He's written the book, The Mind of the Missionary, and a couple of other books, I believe.
Yeah, a couple other, but that's his big one, Mind of a Missionary,
Yeah, and him and I are actually in the works of getting each other on the podcast, so it'd be quite cool to have him. But man, it's great to meet you. We ended up meeting at our dear friend Don's place, and it was great. You know, there was all these missionaries, there was all these people there that just loved Jesus. And one of the great things that I liked about that particular dinner was the topic, which was on like brotherly, hanging out, taking each other's friendship seriously.
Yeah.
And like not that shallow level, which I think we get easily sucked into.
Oh, yeah.
One of my good friends, his name's Josh as well. He told me once that he didn't want to hang out with this particular one person, and his wife was shocked because she said, why don't you want to hang out with this other couple? And he said, well, I like her, but I just don't like him.
Yeah. That's a problem with married couples. It can be.
Yeah. And I asked, and so we were over at their place for dinner, and then his wife said to me, Joel, what do you think of this? Do you think he's been a bit harsh? And then I was like, I think you're being a little harsh, to be fair.
Okay.
And then Josh says, let me explain myself. I work 45, 50 hours a week as a builder, and I only have so many hours outside of that.
Yeah.
Whoever I spend time with, I really want them to be adding value to my life as much as I'm adding value to their life.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I have to be picky, and unfortunately this guy just drained me.
Yeah.
And I got to be careful with who I spend my time with. And after I heard that, I was like, oh, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
But from that moment, I was very convicted to go, I'm going to be someone that always adds value to someone's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really want to be that person.
That's good.
But yeah, I can understand where he's coming from. And I think if we challenge each other as brothers in Christ to be someone that only adds, not somebody that takes only, then you're going to have an abundance of very, very close, very good, cherished friendships.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I don't need many friends, but like I feel like the ones I do hang out with, they're close. They're on that next level, but kind of quickly. Like I decided to invest a lot. You know, when I'm talking to them, ask about them, ask, more than yourself.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. But did you like that dinner?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I've been here in Chiang Mai for just over a year and a half, and there was a men's gathering that was happening for years, and I was never really invited to it, and then I finally was, and it was the last one that this certain guy was leading, because him and his wife were moving back to the States, and then that's where I met Don and like Rob and some of these guys that put it together. And since then, I've gotten to know those guys a little more, and so then I was invited to this one. And no, I mean it's so important that to make those connections, but then, like you said, to continue on to grow them. It's I don't think many men have many friends, right? Like maybe they have a lot of acquaintances or guys that they know or play golf with or things like that. I don't play golf. Do you play golf?
Not really.
No, I try.
I like it as a sport, but I'm the least competitive person you'll come across. I'm not a very good person if you're wanting to let's go play this game to see who's the best. I couldn't care less if I win or lose.
I gotcha. Before we moved to Chiang Mai, I lived in Monterey, California, which is a golf mecca. And I was invited one time by a group of guys, and I was never invited again. So that just confirms the fact I'm not made for golf. And I love these guys, but they just never invited me again. But I think most men have or should have at least 2 to 3 men around them that they can be extremely open with, that they can not only receive correction and advice and encouragement and a kick in the butt, but that they can be that for them. We need that. We really do. And the topic at that dinner was like this realness that men need. And, at that dinner specifically, there's a gentleman who I know is really going through a hard time, who was a very friendly person, was one of the guys that reached out to me when I first showed up here, but he's going through some things that he made some really bad choices and been kind of living a double life. And I'm sitting next to him while the teaching's going on, and he's just like, yeah, it's so true. Like, I had all these men around me, but I was never honest with them.
Yeah.
And, and so I think that's just something that we need to take away from, is that we need men around us and that are we truly consider friends.
How do you break that barrier to acquaintance, to friendship, to deep friendship?
It's a good question. I think it's just choosing to be real. I mean, I think most men have a, lack of a better term, a BS monitor. Like we can smell it if a guy is just hanging out because his wife wanted to, or that he's not looking for anything deep. But when you get those men that they're as hungry as you are, I think you can break through it pretty quick. And you can start talking about, marriage and the struggles in there, raising kids, and the struggles with kids, or ministry, if you're all in ministry together, like the struggles of staying focused. Of course, with all men, it's a thing with purity and wanting to be a single-minded man that's not compartmentalized all over the place. Like, James talks about just, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And, compartmentalization is something, I think, a beautiful gift God has given us as men, that we can go and work for 8-10 hours a day, come home and still be a present husband, go be a little league coach and love our kids, even though we're dead tired, we can compartmentalize those things.
What do you call that? A little league coach?
Little league. Oh, like baseball. Like, I guess it's the States thing, but go be a coach or whatever.
I thought that was kind of like the mentor for little children.
Little
league.
Little league. Like minor baseball, that kind of stuff, or pop water football, or I guess, rugby, or any of those things. But
I found that a way to break into somebody, sorry for interrupting,
no, good.
A way to break into somebody's friendship is actually getting them to suffer slightly on your behalf.
Oh, okay. I like that.
And it was actually, I learned this from my dad, who shared, apparently he was studying this book, and in the book, he's not studying Hitler, but Hitler was an example of how Hitler managed to persuade a huge amount of people to do atrocities. So he studied like psychology on how to get somebody to be so devoted to you.
Yeah.
And part of what he explained was, and this is a sales technique too, is make something of an inconvenience and that person fixes it for you. So I have my friend James, which you might have met at the gathering that we went to, and I needed a motorbike to go to Chiang Rai. And he ended up lending me his motorbike. It was a bit of an inconvenience, but I think I was trying to think about it from that gathering that we had.
Yeah.
One of the questions was like that we were talking in our group. At which moment did you go from acquaintance to friend? And I was thinking, I think it was after that, because after that moment, I feel like I had this opening. I was able to message him and say, you want to go get a movie, or you want to get some dinner, or you want to do a poker night, or you want to do board games. But if I had mentioned that let's go do something before I had borrowed his motorbike, I feel like it would have been a little weird.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And it was just this thing. He did something for me that broke through.
Yeah.
I don't know, like borrowing someone's car or lending somebody a hand with chopped firewood or doing something that's almost sacrificial.
Okay.
Bridges that gap. It like speeds it up, turbocharges the friendship. And you got to almost make somebody get uncomfortable for you.
Yeah. That's good. No, I've never really thought of that before, but I can see where that can definitely be part of that. Yeah.
Salespeople, they use a pen. They normally don't have a pen on them. Do you have a pen I can borrow? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I do have one. Here you go. And it's like, I've got to go into my bag and I've got to find it. And here you go. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I truly appreciate you letting me use this. Like you go over the top. And then apparently the sales go up like 90%.
Really?
If you do that.
So I'd be like, this loser, he's not a very good salesman, man. Where's his pin? Like,
exactly. But by the end of your conversation, you feel like you've helped him.
So now,
and that something's changed. Now he's not just a salesman. There's a small acquaintance friendship that's happened. It's weird.
I've probably been bamboozled before. Then.
Yeah, it's all a trick, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's always, what is it? Like there's a sucker born every minute or something like that. Like, yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your story. Have you always like followed Christ? Like before you're here now as a missionary with world, what's it called? Within Reach Global. Yeah. Global.
Yeah.
WRG. I was going to say World Outreach, but I was like, nope, that's a different one.
Yeah.
Within Reach Global. WRG.
Yeah, WRG.
Everything's an acronym these days.
I know. Every organization here has something, one of those little acronyms or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Even YWAM is the weirdest acronym because it's not quite an acronym.
But everyone knows it. Right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows what YWAM is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost an acronym because they're saying the Y part, but then they don't go YWAM.
Yeah. Nope. YWAM. Yeah.
Anyway, with Within Reach Global, you're here doing some awesome things in Thailand, but obviously you didn't start here.
No.
What was life like back in America? Did you always follow Christ?
Yeah.
Where does your kind of actual journey begin with this wonderful journey of being discipled by Christ? And
quite a journey, quite a journey, quite an adventure. Wasn't born into a Christian family. Like wasn't raised in a Christian home. My mom and my biological dad were both addicts, and so alcohol and substance.
Really?
Yep. Yeah,
wow.
And so my biological dad took off when I was about 10.
Okay.
And so being raised by a mom who was in and out of recovery, self-proclaimed witch, herbalist.
Whoa.
I remember as a kid going to like Native American seances and getting things done over me by their like spirit doctors and things like that. And
did anything actually change? Was there actual witchcraft stuff that you noticed? Or?
Not when I was a kid. Like, I mean, I would say, my mom wouldn't say this, but I would say, I felt like I was raised pretty, white. They would call it white trash. Just kind of like in the mountains in Northern California, and so, but my mom definitely was on a path of healing. She was in and out of recovery. Once my dad left. She was a single mom over 3 kids. So I'm the oldest. Our middle sister is developmentally delayed because my mom was using while she was pregnant with her, and then my younger brother is 4 years younger than me, and so she was the single mom. I as much as like the dysfunctions that come from being an oldest son of an addict mom that kind of builds this like savior mentality and this like protector mentality kind of a thing. She did the best she could with the tools in her tool bag. And so it really was around 11, 12 years old. She got finally clean and sober. She started dating a man. So get this, she's 6 years older than him. He had 2 years clean and sober at 21. So like he had been, he started young, right? And so they started dating, moved in together, and he became my stepdad basically. And he's the man that I called dad, and so he had all his issues and struggles. Was raised by his grandpa, who was a Pentecostal pastor for 30-something years, but those the later 30 years of his life, his first 30 years was very brutal, and alcoholism and things like that. And so my stepdad was raised in a very violent environment. His mom was a extreme alcoholic, and allowed herself to be in very violent situations. And so here I am, this 11, 12-year-old, and I'm seeing what life is like with parents that are in recovery. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, was a big part of my childhood. I was the kid in the corner playing with toys while the whole meeting was going on. A lot of our outings were at AA functions and dances and campouts and things like that. A lot of our family trips were from California to Nevada, where my parents' sponsors were.
So how do you view, like from a kid, you were in those AA meetings, not for yourself, but playing with the toys in the corner while your mum was there. How do you view addicts?
Yeah.
Like, did that change your viewpoint of addicts? Because all I think when I think of an addict is like I've watched Breaking Bad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is probably not super accurate.
Actually, a lot of the stereotypes are pretty accurate, man. Yeah. And you have different aspects of it. You have like NA, Narcotics Anonymous, and then AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, and then Al-Anon, which is for like family members of addicts, things like that. It's all still a 12-step program is kind of the mindset behind it. And so I would say as a kid, I was very gun shy to alcohol. I remember going over to a friend's house, and their parents were, had some other parents over, and they were playing some cards, and they had some wine. Nothing wrong with that at all. They're sitting there as adults drinking a bottle of wine, laughing, having a good time. I got so scared that like I walked home, type of thing,
Wow.
Because I was just so gun shy about it. I had just this like
you associated that with just being a little out of control.
Yeah, violence and abuse and things like that. And so, and like I said, my mom did the best she could with the tools she had, but she had some violent boyfriends between when my dad left and when Tom, my dad, came into my life. And so there was just this real stigma about it. So I actually didn't drink until I was about 21, just because I was so kind of scared from it, and kind of gun shy about it. And so it was around 13 years old that my parents, my mom and my stepdad, were getting convicted by my grandpa, my great grandpa, so Tom's grandpa, who was a Pentecostal pastor, about like, you need to get right with God, right? So I remember a Saturday morning waking up, I was going to watch cartoons, and I look out on the back patio, and they're back there holding hands, Grandpa Perry Gower in between the middle of them with his old Bible, marrying them before the eyes of God, basically, like telling them they need to get right, And so it was from that point that we started going to church, this little Maranatha Mountain Chapel up in Northern California, and so I started getting exposed to this Jesus and to God.
So how old are you at this point?
About 13.
Okay.
Yeah, about 13. Yeah. And so I'm getting exposed to all these things that I'd never heard about. Right. I had no Sunday school in me. I had no.
What do you think about it initially? Were you kind of reluctant, or were you just like interested, or you're like, yeah, this is what we're doing?
It was more of, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is our Sunday routine now. We go to church, and it was a very old church, old people. The messages were very hellfire and brimstone, like, and so you just kind of like, you're just kind of absorbing it, and then it was around that summer, so I think it was 1997, maybe 1998, that I got invited to a Christian concert, Christian rock show. OC Supertones, you ever heard of them?
No.
They're an old Christian ska. You know what ska is? It's like brass and guitar and things like that.
Okay.
So old Christian ska band, the OC Supertones. I'll tag them in this, but they did this concert, and I went. And then they basically did an altar call at the end. If you want to accept Christ, they talked about being accepted, being known. And I said yes to that. And so that was the start of it, And And then my middle school years, my homeroom teacher was a Christian man. And he did the Christians on campus in his classroom once a week. And I got invited to that. I started going to a youth group that taught the Bible, and had some really amazing men in my life that just started pouring into me. And I learned what confession was. I learned what sin was, repentance, these basic things that make a man who sacrifices and puts himself before God.
So you're pretty open to it.
I was.
It wasn't this, didn't view anybody as crazy, didn't view it as hard sort of right-wing mentality where you're sensitive in a bad way to it.
No, not at all. I was very open to it. It was about that time that we started getting partial visitation with my biological dad, actually. And he was still using quite a bit. And he's actually selling. He was a dealer also. His mom had a lot of money. So my grandma on that side had a lot of money. So she was able to get good lawyers, and he was able to get partial visitation with us over weekends, basically. And so we would go to his apartment on the weekends. He would basically be crashed out because he was a night mechanic, so he did speed all week or crank, and then crash out on the weekend. So I had kind of free reign just to do whatever I wanted, which is where I was exposed to porn and all this other junk, But ultimately, it was about that same time he offered me drugs for the first time. Offered me a joint.
Your biological dad was the first one to go.
He was. He basically told me, you're old enough now. This is when I started smoking. I want you to know the family. He called it the family business, and because I believe I was filled with the Spirit. I was pursuing Christ. Didn't know why, but I just knew it was wrong.
Yeah, you just said, nah. I just
didn't want to do this. And so I said no. We got in an altercation, called my mom. She came and picked us up, and I didn't see him again until I was 19.
Wow.
And so ultimately I just, from that point on, it was really God putting men in my life as my mom and my stepdad were getting healing, finding out who Christ was, serving in the local church. They started a faith-based 12-step program. And so ultimately they were finding their walk with Christ. And I really feel like, as I look back now, I'm almost 40, I just see where God just kind of put his hands around me and brought Christian men into my life that poured into me. And so all the kids I grew up with, they went to the public high school, Placer High up in Auburn, California. And I actually decided to go to a Christian high school. So I left all my childhood friends. We were able to afford it because my stepdad owned a tree trimming business. He was an arborist.
Yeah.
And so we trimmed all the trees on this beautiful property where this Christian school was. And I went to this posh Christian school.
Wow.
I had no place there. There was no reason for me to be there. I knew nothing about the Bible. Most of these kids were pastors' kids and things like that. And, but even then, my Bible teacher, my freshman year, Mr. Keys, we lived about an hour away from the school. So he offered to give me rides till I got my license. So I spent 2 hours a day with him, and he just poured into me, and he just talked to me about Christ, and I got to ask questions. And then even my junior and senior year, my Bible teacher, a Lutheran pastor there in Auburn, he just really took a shining to me and allowed me to ask questions and to be shaped by him.
So you've had these pretty crucial mentors surrounding you, which is pretty cool because your life could have gone way differently.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to give your stepdad a lot of credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
That he came in and just loved your mom and had this background of Christ, although he was using himself for a bit. But he clearly must have a wild story himself too.
Yeah, and that actually circles back around about 10 years from then. But ultimately, he did the best he could with the tools in his tool belt. You know, he taught me how to work hard. My 13th birthday was a chainsaw, it was Tom Shively and Son's Tree Care. I was son, I was trimming trees, climbing trees, all that stuff, driving the truck and the chipper, all that fun stuff, the bucket truck. And so he taught me how to work. He taught me how to fight. He was a big time brawler, hot tempered man, many images in my head.
Professional fight, like Muay Thai?
No, like someone mouths off to him in a parking lot and he's going to fight him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Many images in my head of someone whistling at my mom. My mom was this little blonde bombshell, and it was on. I just knew he's going to fight this guy and knock him out. And that's just who Tom was. He was a fighter. There's a narcissism.
Well, that's like a jealous rage as well, where I think where they say, you know, how the Bible says that God's jealous for us.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say, isn't that like a very petty emotion for an all-powerful God to have jealousy?
Yeah.
You're like, well, not when you look at it from the point of view of like, if somebody was to try and sleep with my wife,
Sure,
I would be so jealous, I'd knock them out.
Yeah.
You know, for sure, my wrath would come upon them.
Yeah, totally. And I think there's a place for that. But Tom had some narcissism. Like he was, you know, to be a true like martial artist or a fighter, you almost got a bit of a screw loose because you train and you have this mentality just waiting for it to happen, right? And so that was Tom, like always kind of waiting for the fight. And
was he trained?
Yeah, he trained martial arts most of his life.
Okay. Wow.
And later on, him and I actually owned and ran a martial arts school too together.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was a big part of my upbringing with him was learning how to work, learning how to fight, learning how to be a good man. Because he was a good man. Like he really was. Loved my mom, loved us. Did the best that he could. You know, he really did. And once Christ came into the picture and drew our family into salvation, he did his best to lead us spiritually with the tools that he had, you know? And, and so, yeah, I don't like when I look back at my life in those teenage years, sure, there was some roughness. My mom and Tom had their own dysfunctions and their own scars and wounds and baggage that they were dealing with through their whole marriage. But I just see God's hand in so much of what I chose to do and so much of what he drew me into. It was my junior year in high school. It was a real pivotal year. Also, I remember sitting in a social studies class where we would read the newspaper Monday morning, you know, and a kid goes, he sees a picture and it was Placer County's Most Wanted. And the guy had the same last name as me. And he laughs. He goes, oh, you know, Josh, this is your dad. And I looked, I go, actually, that's my biological dad.
Oh, wow.
And so he'd done some prison time, got out, kept selling, and then became a Most Wanted. And like,
whoa.
Yeah. So things like that.
Was one of the most wanted.
Yeah, Placer County. I mean, there's all kinds of white trash, redneck, you know, crackheads up there.
Gosh.
But yeah. So like there was that. I went on my first mission trip to Ukraine for almost a month. And God just did a lot of shaping in me during that time, senior year. And then,
did you have any moments where you were doubting God, or you were like, maybe I'm gonna walk the way of the drugs, or the way of I don't know, anger or anything like that?
To be honest with you, Joel, no, man. Like in however many years it's been now since I've become a Christian, it's like I don't ever have a time in my life where I doubted God.
Yeah.
I doubted myself. I doubted a calling or a choice, but I've never doubted God. Like I don't ever have. And I've been asked that before, you know, like all the years of youth ministry and things like that I've done, you know, a kid will come to you saying, I'm just doubting that God's real. I just don't ever remember a time in my life since accepting Christ. Yeah. He just became so real to me so quickly that he's all I've ever held on to. Like, so honestly,
I had an interesting moment when I had Christ come into me, totally changed. And then years later, I started falling into the world and doing lots of drinking with some friends. Yeah. And I remember being so attracted to the things of the world, the pleasures of the world, women and, you know, all this. Like I just wanted, I wanted to be part of the world for a bit. But I had this experience with God. I like knew he was real. And it bugged me so much that I ended up studying the Word of God and apologetics, looking for the reason God's not real.
Almost like a Lee Strobel type of like Case for Christ thing.
Yeah, kind of like that. So I read like the God Delusion and things like that. Yeah. And I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a reason. And I remember my friend Todd, he was on the podcast. I think his episode just came out last week. And him and I talk about this a little bit because his testimony and my testimony overlap. And him and I were in the city drinking, both very drunk. And he said he remembers me debating him and other people around us why God is real.
Yeah, while you were drunk. Yeah.
While I'm drunk.
Yeah.
But one thing he didn't realize that my motive was not to be right. It was hopefully I'm wrong. Someone come with an argument that proves me wrong. I was hoping that because I was very equipped. Like I knew exactly the cosmological argument, the teleological argument. I like the moral stuff was like, okay, just somebody come with a better argument. Yeah. So he didn't know that I was doing it to try and lose my faith.
That's good.
Yet it only grounded it stronger.
Oh yeah.
And I remember being so annoyed. I'm like,
someone come up with something.
Is real, and I don't like it.
Yeah, that's good.
That was my thinking.
Sure, yeah.
And I was like, And then basically that was the road of my struggle, was this torment between I didn't like the truth even when it slaps me in the face, but I didn't like being deceived either. Yeah. I couldn't just submit to the world. Knowing what I knew and having the experience of God too. Like he wrecked me when I was 15.
That's so good.
And I, like, every part of my body felt so heavy, and in a moment was so light. And I remember thinking, if I get hit by a bus, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It was a weird thought.
Yeah.
I am so okay with death. And then when I read the scripture, death, where is your sting? Yeah. It was like lightning going through my body, thinking that I can so relate to. Like if I get hit by a bus, I'm okay. If I get struck by lightning, I'm okay.
That's good.
To die, to live as Christ, to die as gain. You know, we were talking about Charlie Kirk just before the podcast started, and how he's just been shot as of this recording 2 days ago, 1 or 2 days ago, and died. That he has a few quotes like that, which is the quickest way to get to the kingdom is for you to kill a Christian, like stuff like that, which is you're not doing a Christian any disservice by taking them out. Yeah, they're okay with that.
That's so good. Yeah, no, I think those moments when we see a prominent person that unapologetically is sharing their faith, you know, he was given such a platform. Like, I mean, he's one in a generation for sure, and yet being followers of Christ, not just a conservative, right, but like a follower of Christ. My heart breaks for his wife and his children, but ultimately we know he's already in eternity with them, right? Like there's no waiting, he is in eternity with God. Yeah, like no more pain, no more sorrow, all those things, and that's the hope, the unseen hope we all rest in, right, as Christians. And
It hit me quite hard with Charlie's death. He's the same age as me. He's 31. And I've got a son. He's got 2 kids. Yeah. You know, I'm thinking, I basically have the same job as him. Yeah. In a sense, like my job is to talk to people and talk to them about. Well, I always bring up Christ. Luckily, my job is people willingly wanting to talk about Christ. That's the difference. But like in one sense, it's just talking to people, open dialogue, talking about Christ. Yeah. And to see that happen, you know, it goes into your mind, I think. Is this the start of all the martyrs that are talked about in the Bible? Yeah. You know,
we'll see.
Could be.
It feels heavy. Like, I don't know what God's going to do with it and what's going to come of it. You know, it's heartbreaking to see, you know, these influencers, these more conservative influencers start like getting angry and like, we need to fight. It's time to fight and things like that. And it's like, well, that's not the answer. Like,
that's not what Charlie stood for either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's not going to help anything. You know, it's like during his, you know, they were doing a vigil and somebody stood out and started saying Charlie Kirk, and all these dudes came out and beat the living tar out of him, you know, things like that, you know.
Yeah. And that's not what Charlie would have condoned.
No,
that.
it's not at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not what Christ is calling us to as Christians. And so I don't know what God's going to do with it. I see his impact. I've got a 17-year-old daughter, and Charlie Kirk, when she told me this morning, I took her on a date this morning, and she said, yeah, Charlie was like the first voice outside of her mom and I that she started listening to about politics and faith and where do those things align, and her place in the world as like being born in America, right? Being given that gift and in a family with 2 parents that love each other, that direct them in kingdom work and discipling after Jesus. And so she's like, he was the first voice. Yeah. You know, social media is pretty new to her, and like we just did that over the last year or so. like YouTube videos and that kind of thing. And so it impacted her pretty heavy, like why would they do this kind of a thing? That was her first question. Why? Like he's a husband, he's a dad. And then walking her through like, well, they can't control him. You know, they can't control him. And they see, because of his political views and because of his, more than that, his faith in Christ, the power he has.
Yeah.
And like what he was going to be able to do in his lifetime.
I like what Michael Knowles said. He said Charlie was going to be president.
Oh yeah.
He knew it. His family knew it. His friends knew it, and his enemies knew it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like he was for sure. The only thing holding him back was his age.
Oh yeah.
You got to be 35.
Yeah,
so 31.
We're looking 2032, maybe 2038 or 2036.
It's definitely going that way.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But
I would have voted for him.
I would too. I'm not American, but I would still vote for him.
Yeah.
But he, one thing that I read in the Bible recently, which was how Jesus is more talking about himself, but I think this applies, is when a seed goes to the ground, must die for a harvest to come. And I see, man, my phone just exploded with the incredible discussions that Charlie's had.
Yeah.
With people, like about his faith and about how Christ loves them and how, heaven went bankrupt just for you.
Yeah,
all these
good.
awesome quotes from him. And I'm like, I think more people are probably going to come to Christ. Like, he's been doing this for 12 years, 13 years.
Yeah.
I reckon more people are going to come to Christ in the next month because of his death than his whole career.
Yeah.
And not saying that I'm hurt that he had to die or did die, but seeing how God uses everything for good, it's this explosion of revival, I think, from his death as well. So in the same sense that when Jesus died and ascended, there was an explosion from the church. I'm not saying that he's the Messiah, but I think that there's similarities there, and in the basically, if you martyr someone, we said this earlier. We said when a king dies, the war ends. When a martyr dies, the war begins. And I'm not saying like war as in like guns and nukes and things like that. I'm saying more spiritual.
Yeah.
Igniting spiritually this war that people are going to stand up and take their faith as seriously as Charlie did. They're going to stand up and like decide, I'm going to be a voice because this guy was a voice.
Yeah.
And people need to hear that stuff. And just because he's died doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking the same way, like I got to be bold.
Yeah. And hopefully Christians in the West that have a biblical worldview, and they know that this is a spiritual battle more than a physical, that just as Jesus prayed, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That things are happening in heaven, in that unseen realm that we're not privy to. And when something like this happens and you see the church rally, you see people pray, you see people like realize that they need to speak up for not just political things, but, things like abortion and the mutilation of children and things like that, and just this really it's this agenda to change our whole worldview and our moral code in the West. It's Christians with a biblical worldview and a true kingdom mindset. It can't help but mobilize them. It can't help but ignite a fire in them to be more vocal. Yeah. That literally this to see like, when we sit back and do nothing, when the church just is just this social club that people go to, like the world is still moving. The enemy is still at work, right? This battle that's happening within the spiritual realm does not stop even though the church becomes lax.
We need to be just as evangelical as the left.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which is a weird statement.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's true.
I never thought I would have said like, I need to proselyte like everyone on the left does. Everyone in this progressive, mindset does. It's crazy. It really is. Yeah.
So let's go back to your story. You say you went to a camp?
When I got saved?
Yeah.
No, that was a Christian concert.
Oh, that's right.
It was just
Christian concert. Yeah. So how did you ended up going from there to where you said you did your first missions trip as well?
Yeah.
How did you start going into like proper missions? This is where the Lord's taking me.
That's good. No, senior year, senior year is when I knew like I'm called to missions. I'm called to to being in ministry. I went to a conference. This guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he had this ministry called the Pottersville Ministry, where he would stand up and give the gospel and give this whole presentation while making this giant 6-foot vase on a potter's wheel. Right. So he'd be covered with the clay and giving this presentation. And at the very end, he would unveil this finished vase that's like 6-7 foot tall, beautiful work. Wow. Right. And at the end, he gave this, and it was a big youth conference, and he gave this call not to salvation, but to those who feel called to ministry. And I just remember so powerful, like this is what I'm called to do. And so did that. My senior quote was to become all things to all men so that some might be saved. I was voted the most likely to become a missionary. And so I knew, right, and very much like you, right after high school, so I would say my 19th year of life was my kind of rebellion stage, right? Like I moved out pretty quickly. I was working full time. I knew how to make money, that kind of thing. So I moved out. All my friends went off to universities and things like that. I was very alone. And so I figured out, what girls were, like how I could talk to them, things like that.
Yeah.
A little bit of alcohol, but that came a little bit later. But really just kind of like seeing what else is out there. I was still very vested in the Lord, never questioned him. I look back at my journaling during that time, and I was still like crying out to him the next morning after a stupid choice was, God, I'm so sorry, that kind of thing. I started reading more. I started reading more theological books and books on healing and what it means to be a man of God. And my biological dad got out of prison. I found out from one of his sisters, my aunt, that he got out. I got his number. I went and confronted him and forgave him. That kind of process in my life, like really.
How did he take that?
Oh, it was interesting, man. So I heard he got out of prison, got his number from my aunt. And so I call it and he answers. We have very similar voices. And I was like, Ron? And he's like, yeah. And he knew who it was because my voice. And I was like, hey, we need to meet up. And I got something I need to say to you. And so we met up at this gas station parking lot, which now I look back like that was a stupid choice. Like, because I get out of the car and he thought we were going to fight. He thought I wanted vengeance or, I don't know what he wanted. But like, I walked up to him, my hands up. I said, Ron, like, I don't want to fight. Like, I want to forgive you. And he just broke. I just watched this man who'd been slamming dope in his arms for the last 20 years just break and cry. And he starts chain smoking because he's just like all shaken.
Doesn't know what to do.
And I just start telling him about my faith and start telling him about why I want to forgive him and who Christ is to me. And ultimately that was the start of a lot of healing in my life.
Wow.
And that
His
father's
too,
wound.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope so. Like he's kind of carried on that same. He's still alive,
super
man.
Convinced.
No, he's still alive. He's gone kind of AWOL. Back in 2018, he was at a rehab in Chico, California, which is still kind of Northern California, a little south. And I found out because our church that we were working at the time, it was our sister rehab. Our church had a rehab, and then it was our sister rehab. And so I found out that he was there. He was on their second year program, so he had over a year clean and sober. So second year program, usually you have a job, that kind of thing. You're still living at the rehab, but you have a job and you're kind of rehabilitating into life. And so I called him, got his number, and we were actually talking quite a bit. Like he was actually going to, it was funny. He starts talking and he's using some Christianese. And I said, Ron Reeves, are you a Christian? And he goes, I'm a Baptist. But to him, it was so new, right? Like he had never gone to church. None of his family, none of that side of my family is Christian. And so he was learning what it meant to be a Christian. We were talking and we were getting to the point where we were talking about him coming to Monterey, California, where we were living at the time, to meet his grandchildren for the first time. And I was kind of getting excited about it. And then something happened where he relapsed, and then he went. I haven't seen him since, or talked to him since. And I'll call his number every once in a while, or I'll message him on Facebook. I never hear any response or anything like that. And he's not active on Facebook or any social media. And as far as I know, he's still alive. So there's a part of me that like, I just know that there will be some restoration. I mean, the man's been slamming dope in his arms now for almost 35 years, probably longer, and he's still alive. And like, I don't know. I just feel like God's still got like something for him.
Yeah.
And I still pray for some restoration. that father wound is definitely healed in my life. It doesn't affect me, or like, it doesn't drive me like it did when I was younger. But ultimately, like, I pray for that restoration. I do still. Yeah. I'd love to have a relationship with Ron.
Yeah. And your mum, did she ever fall back into drugs or anything
She
like that?
never fell back into drugs. And so, my mom's quirky. She's something else. So she now, so let me backtrack a little bit. So, had my bit of rebellion. And then around 20 years old, I started dating my wife, who's my wife now, Erica. Got a county job as an equipment operator. We got married, had our daughter, Eliana, out the gate. 19 months later, had my son, Seth, bought a home in Northern California. So we had this beautiful little American dream, right? Have our 3-bedroom home. It's down the street from the county yard where I'm an equipment operator, 40 hours plus a week, making really good money, benefits. It's a career job, right? But God really imprinted on me and my wife that we were called to ministry. So we were serving at a local church, running a youth ministry. Had no experience doing that, but we were running this youth ministry. The very first youth group ever, I said something really stupid, like I was reading 1 John, I was teaching on 1 John and, the apostle of love. And I said something stupid like, John loved the people he's writing to, and I love you guys, that where nothing you can do will ever make me stop loving you. I said something stupid like that, right? As a new youth pastor. And the pastor's daughter stands up and says, really? And kicks me in the shin as hard as she can. As hard as she can. And then this other kid thought it was funny. And so he stands up and kicks me in the other shin as hard. These are middle schoolers.
Wow.
As hard as he could. I dropped my Bible. I walked out. I was like, okay, this is not for me. Of course, I came back in and told him, don't do that again. And that was the start of my youth ministry career. So my wife and I are serving in this church. It lasted.
Some cheeky kids.
Oh man. Those pastors' kids, dude. There's something else. But ultimately we're serving. That lasted about 4 years. And towards the end of that 4 years, so I was almost 25. Wife and I had been married for a couple of years. And we found out that Tom, my stepdad, had fallen into some really deep sin, basically. He had this whole other life. When I was later in high school, he decided to become a cop. And so he stepped into the police department. This exasperated that narcissism in him. And he started sleeping around. And basically we learned for many years, he always kind of had a woman on the side. Very deep into pornography, sex addict. And I count myself very blessed because he never touched any of us. It never affected us in our childhood. He always kept it very compartmentalized. But we just found out he had this whole other life. Wow. And he kind of A-bombed everything, left. And so then I watched my mom, who here we are with our little family. They were very connected to us. They loved our children. I watched my mom not go back to drugs and alcohol, but went back to men. And so she started dating very quickly, and it wasn't healthy. And so here I am, new marriage, figuring things out with my wife, children, house, and then now here my mom is, and having to walk through that, right? Having to walk through letting go of really this man I'd made an idol in my life. I would have done anything for Tom. I really would have. And watching this idol in my life kind of fall apart, watching my mom step back into it and not reverting back to that firstborn son of an addict mom. But now having to devote to my wife. In all honesty, I still had all my baggage from my childhood. My wife, you'll have to have her on here at some point, but she was raised in the opposite of me, in an almost cultish Christian home.
Wow.
Her mom is bipolar and has some other, and really.
So what do you mean by cultish?
Like basically the home was ran almost like a cult. You don't talk about what happens outside of. There was a lot of verbal, emotional, and even physical abuse. And it was all covered up with scripture.
Wow.
This is okay because of this scripture, and this is okay because of this. Yeah. And they never talked about it outside. She's half Filipino, second oldest of 7 kids, and very much this just very controlling kind of home, very abusive. Yeah. And so she's dealing with all of that baggage, right? Because ultimately when she married me and moved away from the family, she was exiled, cut off from all her younger siblings, where she was like kind of mama to them.
Wow.
And it was very, very manipulative, very abusive. So we're in this kind of figuring things out. This A-bomb hits with my parents. And it drove us into counseling, actually, for the first time. And so my wife and I basically had to go to a Christian counselor. So we went to a legit, therapist, and this man was amazing. He called us both out.
So were you guys struggling as a marriage couple, or was it just we need like a third party to navigate your mom, her relationship, and her dating, how it's affecting your life, your wife's
all her trauma,
exiledness, and but was it affecting you guys as a husband and wife marriage, or was it more like you guys just need to like discuss and work out how to navigate these waters and total?
All the above, honestly. Okay. In all honesty and transparency, from my baggage and my upbringing, I was struggling with a pretty extreme pornography addiction. My wife didn't know how to confront. She didn't know how to talk because of the trauma. So in all honesty, if I were to go back and counsel young Joshua and Erica, I probably would have told them, don't get married yet, because of how much baggage and wounds we had from our childhoods. And so ultimately we did get married, right? We signed that covenant. We're together, right? We are one flesh now. And so, yes, the counselor, it was this A-bomb that hit. It was everything that we were going through. And ultimately, now looking back, it was one of those walls in life that really only come up when that A-bomb hits, right? You bounce off of these walls with our emotional and our spiritual growth, right? And our maturing, until that A-bomb kind of hits, and you realize, I have to go through this, or else I'm going to keep hitting this wall my whole life. And you've probably met Christians like that. They're 40, 50-year-old men and women who still have the emotional capacity of a 20-year-old and the spiritual growth of that, right? Because they bounce off that wall rather than going through it with the work of Jesus in their life. And that was our first wall, I should say. And that was our first, we need to walk through this or else we're not going to survive. And so I got some counseling for my addiction and my habits. That was her kind of start to her healing. And every move we've made over the years, every church we've planted, God has provided a counselor. He's provided someone without us even looking in our life that brings us to that next wall. And it's been this awesome kind of like revelation every time that we make a move and God's there before us.
So you're a big advocate for counseling or mentors or anything like that?
Oh, we need them. I don't know how Christians do it without it, man.
It's basically discipleship.
Yeah, it is. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've met some Christians that would call mentoring and discipleship different. I completely disagree. I think they're one and the same. I think we can disciple someone to do ministry, but if they're not a healthy, maturing Christian, if they aren't physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, socially maturing, they won't have the same effect within ministry and the kingdom work.
Do you think, how we're talking about making sure that you have those deeper relationships, people that they've got the, what's the word? The authority to talk into your life and to call you out and vice versa. Do you think if you've got people like that are of sound mind, they pray over you, they will walk with you, that's enough sometimes?
I think they're those people that God brings in your life to help you, like I said, go through that next wall, right? And that may not be forever, right? People move, seasons come and go. You may move, God may call you somewhere else. But for that season of life, God has brought that person into your life. And ultimately, it's still our choice. Are we going to be teachable? Are we going to be humble and transparent with that person so they can call us out on it? Yeah. So I'm a big advocate for solid premarital counseling. Like the premarital that Eric and I do now before a wedding, it's pretty intense. Because we understand these are questions that will come up, right? How do you spend money? What's your expectations with sex? What's, how are you going to raise kids? Whose house are you going to be at? Which holiday? All those things. And so ultimately marital counseling.
They're
absolutely.
Good questions. I love, I quite like listening to Dave Ramsey from time to time.
Sure. Yeah.
And he has these 4 rules that if you do these 4 rules, your marriage basically won't break. And it's you have to agree on these 4 things. You have to agree on your religion. You have to agree on how are you going to raise your kids, how many kids you're going to have, all that stuff about kids. You have to agree on money, and then you have to agree on your in-laws. And that one's funny because he says everyone's got crazies in their family.
They do, yeah.
Now, you just have to agree who's crazy and who's not.
Yeah, I like it.
Because you might have a sister and you really like her and you guys are really good friends and your wife goes, she's crazy. You guys need to get on the same page. Either she's not or she is.
I like that. Yeah.
But you just have to agree on that.
Yeah.
So you're in unison when it comes to family gatherings, when it comes to anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, Laura and I have definitely stuck to those four things.
Good. Yeah.
I didn't even know we had stuck to them until I'd watched it. But looking at our lives, we are in agreement with all of those things. How to use money, how to save money.
And yeah, I would add sex into that too.
Yeah.
I mean, so many young couples, man, they've been married a year, 2 years, and we sit down with them and we're like, so what's going on? You know, and they seem pretty compatible or compatible. Maybe they're compatible too, but pretty compatible. Yeah. But something's happening. And then one of them will say, he wants this for sex and I don't want that. Yeah. Or she thought sex was going to be like this and I don't want that. And they just never talked about it because, well, we're Christians. We don't talk about sex. Yeah. Like that, God will work that out. Yeah. You know, it's like, no, you're two broken human beings who have been exposed to things or seen things. You have expectations. Talk about it. Talk about it. What are your desires? Yeah. See if they're compatible with hers and then talk through it, you know? And so, I mean, so many young couples, man, over the years where it's just like sex becomes such a thorn because like it's such a hidden part of their life for so many years. And then they try to expose it and blow it up. And then it's like, oh, we have totally different views on this.
So you need to get into a place with your wife or your husband where sex is on the table for something that you can talk about.
Absolutely.
Because, a lot of the time you just don't talk about it.
Oh, yeah. And so many kids, like their parents don't talk to them about it. You know, there's so many young people that just like, oh, that never talked about that in my house. Like that would just come up one day when we're married, you know. And
so did you learn all these things during your counseling and all that? And that's how you formulated this?
I would say 20 years of ministry.
20 years of ministry?
Yeah.
And the counseling?
Yeah, going through my own healing process and sitting down with people, realizing what's an issue over and over again with different couples and things like that. And just all the ministry we've done, you kind of formulate what works and doesn't work type of thing. Not that there's a blueprint. Everybody's different. Every situation. You walk in being led by the Spirit. Same thing with discipleship, all those things. But you just kind of formulate like the big ones, you know, the big ones. And then you can show them too, like why these things are important. You know, I mean, I'm pretty convinced that, you know, the marriage bed, the act of sex in marriage is one of the closest moments one of the moments that we're closest to being like God. Because we're literally taking the act of creation, right? Where God is this masculine form that gives life. All of creation is this feminine form that receives life. And in the marriage bed, the male is giving life, right? Giving seed. The woman is receiving it into her body. And then you're creating life, right? Which is in the image of God to create, you know? And it's such a beautiful concept and such a beautiful microcosm of what it means to be made in his image. And yet because we don't talk about it in the church, so many young people grow up thinking it'll just work itself out.
That's a cool way to think of it. I've never quite put all that together. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. It's one of my favorite things at like a camp where I got like 20 young guys in a room, like we're going to have the sex talk and they all get quiet. Like, what is he talking about? You know? So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. So you have been doing ministry for 20 years.
Almost. Yeah. Just under. Yeah.
How did you actually fall into that?
Yeah.
And like you said that your early days, you started doing youth ministry and the kids kicked you in the shins.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
So did you go from there into like ministry outside of church ministry, or has your ministry for 20 years been in church ministry and then also missions?
Yeah, it's kind of a trail mix, honestly. So started that little church, learned a lot of how not to be a pastor. I love that man. But he was probably one of the most abrasive human beings you'll ever meet. And, I love the man, but, he's divorced now. Yeah. A couple of his daughters don't talk to him, and so it's like you just look at a wake of somebody's ministry behind them and you see a lot of pain. You see a lot of bitter people. You don't see health. You don't see healing. You don't see good theology. You can kind of like surmise what kind of pastor that man is or what kind of minister that man is. And so we were there for about 4 years. And through that counseling, my wife and I realized like this is an unhealthy place. Like this is not what we want for our life and for ministry. Yeah. And so we started going to a small Saturday night Bible study that then grew into a church plant. So we got to be a part of a team that planted a church.
That's cool.
That actually is still going today. A little Calvary Chapel up in Northern California, and that's kind of where I sunk my teeth. Like I taught my first adult Bible study through the book of Romans on a Wednesday night. My wife and I started and ran the youth group for many years there. And so that was like really where we learned a lot of ministry from like kind of the ground up. And through that time, I was still equipment operating. I was still full-time at the county. My wife was working part-time and our kids were in preschool, like little kid school. And then it was about that time that God really placed on our hearts that it was time to step out. It was time to really take a step of faith. And so we prayed, we kept searching, and there was a replant happening. So the church basically had gone through some really hard times. The pastor left. A new pastor came in and was basically doing a replant, which in all honesty, I would not curse my worst enemy with a replant of a church, like raising up dead bones, man. Like
what does that mean?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So you have a church plant where it's like you have a group of people that or someone moves to a town and they start a church, right? It's fresh, it's new. You can kind of write everything new, the bylaws, all those things, their vision, all those things. A replant is a church that's been there for 20 years. Like the founder of this church was Calvary Chapel, Santa Cruz. He was sent up by Chuck Smith from Southern California to plant this church. And so you have this church that's been there for 20 years. You have people who got saved at that church, who've grown up there. Their kids go there now. They all have this kind of expectation or this preconceived notion of the way it should run, what its value should be, how it started, really all these old wineskins, right? Basically, the pastor that was there just burned out and just kind of left really quickly, wounded a lot of people. So now you have all the preconceived notions, you have wounded people. I'd almost call it a PTSD church, honestly.
Oh, wow.
And so then this new pastor comes in, he's looking for help. My wife and I feel like we're called to Santa Cruz. So we sell our home, I quit the county job. We pack everything up in a U-Haul in our van and we drive down to Santa Cruz to be ministers in honestly one of the toughest places to do ministry in California, in my opinion. Santa Cruz is nuts, man. It's Bohemia, man. It is just a crazy place to do ministry. You got Santa Cruz State there, which is where all the crazy people from Berkeley went to start a university. Like, so it's just the whole heart there is very tribal, very Bohemian. It's really, really interesting. Very interesting place to do ministry. And so we step into this PTSD church and I had to find a side job because the church couldn't pay us. So I went from this high paid equipment operator for the county to working at a Trader Joe's in downtown Santa Cruz, just going, what did I just do? But God, through his grace, like took us and put us at an old Christian camp, Mount Hermon Christian camp, as their equipment operator. We got housing there, and that's where we started homeschooling our kids. They got to run around like little camp rats all year for 4 years straight. Like it was just this magical little bubble within Santa Cruz. Like with all this crazy, you have this old, just conservative-minded, biblically minded camp that does camp all year round, family camps, all kinds of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so we were there, I was working, and then also doing ministry at the church. And so we did some youth ministry, did some teaching, discipleship. I ran some like purity classes for men, some rehab classes for men, things like that. Yeah. And we were there for about 4 years, and we really felt like it was a continuing training ground for us. You know, we had broken off. For my wife to move further away from her family, it was a healthy thing. Yeah. God randomly brought another woman into our life that was a Christian counselor, that her heart was for pastors and their wives.
Cool.
And so she adopted us and really walked more my wife in this season through really accepting who her mom was, the things that she had gone through, the abuse she had gone through, how to accept it, how to really accept that she'll probably never have a healthy relationship with her mom this side of heaven. Things like that, you know? And so that was just such a healing time for us in a lot of ways. And so it's ministry, it's church, it's people, it's all that fun stuff. And then after about 4 years of that, a Calvary Chapel Monterey, which is about 50 miles south of Santa Cruz, was starting a church planting school. And so we were kind of at a place, and I was invited to come and be a part of it. And so my wife and I were at a place like, yeah, that's the next progression of like our ministry. We've been a part of a church plant. We've been a part of a replant. Now let's learn how to really plant a church, you know? Yeah. And so for basically 8 months, I drove from Santa Cruz to Monterey several times a week in the evenings while working all day and doing ministry to take these classes. And we were praying over Northern Ireland. We were looking up in Belfast, a town in Northern California, Tahoe, King City. I was learning Spanish because there's a big Spanish population there. And so we were really praying over these places and where God would send us. And then after about 8 months.
Can I ask why, like, that seems like very random 2 places you just listed? Northern Ireland and...
Yeah, they are random, I know. You know, honestly, most of our journey is just like has been praying and asking God and then him opening doors and us knocking. And
so did he reveal something about those 2 places?
Yeah, so Northern Ireland was, so we prayed over cities, my wife and I, and we took some time and prayed and fasted. And one of the cities that came up with both of us was Belfast. And so we were praying over that. And we got connected with, there's one Calvary Chapel in Northern California, or Northern Ireland in Ballymena, which is way north, this little town. And the way Ireland works is you have to be sponsored by a foundation that's already there to get a ministry visa.
Right.
And so I don't know if it's like that anymore, but it was then. And so we got in contact with them. They were excited about it. So we just saw those as open doors. You know, we were praying with them, doing video calls. And then my wife and I got in touch with a prayer group in Tahoe that was meeting at a coffee shop. So we went up there and we started praying with them. We did some prayer walks and like weekends up there praying with them and talking with them and talking about what this would look like and basically the process of planning a church, you know? Yeah. And so those were just the 2 places God opened doors. They are very random. I agree. Like, not like I had a heart for the Irish or I have a heart for the Hispanic population in Tahoe. It was just more, these are the doors God's opening. So we want to be faithful and we really want to just go where God wants us to go because that means he's there and we want to be close to him. And so, after 8 months of that, the church lost their youth pastor. He moved back to Florida. And at this time, after 12, 13 years of doing ministry, I'd never been paid by a church. I was not ordained. I'd always done bivocational, right? And so the church offered me a full-time job as their youth pastor and kind of young adult pastor to actually learn then the inner workings. And this is, Calvary Monterey is a good-sized church, about 2,000 people, very, very functioning, very just like moving. So I would learn all the ins and outs. And the talk was always then you would go plant a church, right? Kind of a thing after a year or 2. Well, fast forward 6.5 years, like as things go, it never really came up again, right? Like the youth ministry took off. We were doing youth ministry through COVID. It came to happen where we were the only youth group that stayed open. We shut down for a little bit, but then we opened up outdoors. We got a big circus tent. Yeah. We were the only youth group in Monterey County that was still running. So we went from about 60 kids to about 190 overnight because kids basically, and it wasn't just the church kids anymore, but it was non-Christian kids.
Yeah, they want to go do something.
Yeah, parents hear that there's something happening. My kid needs to get out of the house. Yeah. And so we went from this very church 60 kid youth group to 190, some nights 200, and it's a gambit, man.
It's a lot of kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was quick. But it was really cool because during 2020 was another wall my wife and I had to hit. And it wasn't necessarily a counselor, but we read through Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, Pete Seguro. He's got a couple books out, but we read through that and we read through 7 Dysfunctions of a Healthy Team, which he's a Catholic, but it's very biblical of how to build a team. And we read through these and really went through some hard like knocks of like, what does ministry really look like? I was feeling overworked and burned out. So 2020 was actually a real gift to us, shutting down for a while. And anyway, the youth group blew up and it became this ministry to non-Christian kids. We had kids struggling with their sexuality and gender, boys wanted to be called she's, things like that, he's and she's and all that. And we had to come up with very much like, what is our standard? What's our vision on this? We want them here. So what's our boundaries with it? Yeah, it's like you're a girl named Gabby. You want to be called Ace? We'll call you Ace, but we're not going to call you he or they. Like we still believe you were made in God's image as a woman, those type of things. and caused tension on both ends. We had parents upset with us because we wouldn't call their child a they. We had Christian parents saying, why are you letting these kids into youth group? I mean, it was a crazy time, man. It was nuts.
That's interesting. That was, yeah. I always thought the last thing that I would want to be doing right now would be youth.
Yeah.
Because
it was something else.
it's gone a little over the top with things like that. I mean, it's settled down now, I think, a little bit. I think since, probably since Trump declared there's only two genders or stuff. So I think it's settled down a little bit. But
I think it's gone under the surface.
It's still there.
I think there's a whole TikTok world that is still influencing this generation in that mindset and that worldview, honestly.
Yeah, but it's kind of got pushed out of the higher politics, which is good. Because the fact that it was affecting that it blew my mind that it had crawled its way all the way to that point. Even in New Zealand, there's these kids going to the school in my hometown, and they've put litter boxes.
Litter boxes
for pets in the bathrooms because some of the kids are thinking that they're dogs.
Stop it, man.
It's at what point? When are you allowed to say it's crazy? Is one of the things.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question.
You're not really, but we need to really love these kids.
Yeah, we do.
But what are you watching to start thinking that way?
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the TikTok stuff? Because I haven't. I'm not really on it.
I had to go down that rabbit hole when we started getting these kids in the youth
understand.
Group. Yeah, because, and I don't know if we got any that claim to be an animal or anything like that, but just the overarching warpedness of their reality, right? The self-centeredness, the self-entitlement, this toxic empathy that is so sunk into this generation. Like, you have to accept me as I want you to accept me.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then that means you don't think I'm human, right? You don't see my value as a living being. When it's like, no, I see your value. I accept you, but I don't approve of what you're doing.
It's kind of like not being allowed to disagree.
Oh, totally.
Which is the same reason Charlie Kirk died.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
If you disagree with him, you're gonna get assassinated.
Yeah, we can't have a discussion, right? Like you just have to accept me and approve what I'm doing, and you have to support what I want, type of thing. And so I had to go down that rabbit trail. And some of the things I found, and it got worse from 2020 to before 2024, like absolutely, especially on the social media. But what I mean is it just has gone underground in a sense, a little bit under the surface. But there are still absolute wackos out there that are trying to influence the next generation. And it's
kind of predatory. Would you say it'd be quite predatory? Like what are they called? Pedophiles?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Would be
grooming.
All encouraging this. You're grooming these kids to be whatever they want to be.
Oh, absolutely. That's what the demonic realm does.
Yeah.
Right. We'll accept you and we'll love you and we'll give you 100 truths to sell you the one big lie. Yeah. And that's what they do, and these kids, and I don't want to just blame the parents, but it's like, you don't know how many, even in youth ministry at the church, how many parents are so oblivious to the computer in their son's room, to the chat lines their daughter's on.
Well, you mentioned you've just recently that your daughter, you say she was 17?
Yeah, 17.
And you've just let her onto social media.
Yeah, we moved out here to Thailand, and she asked for Instagram to keep in touch with her friends. Most of her friends use Instagram to chat, right? And so we went over guidelines, we went over boundaries, what we're okay with. Her account is private. It's connected to my wife's account. So whenever she even gets a message, it pops up on my wife's screen. I know there's a lot of parents out there that think that's too much, or we're helicopter parents, but I don't care. Like, I really don't, man. The internet is a nasty place. And your child, it's like taking your child to a 25 floor building, and you go, hey, and the thing they want is on the 23rd floor.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, so from ground 1 to 22 is a bunch of nasty stuff.
Yeah.
There's horrible things in there. But you go ahead by yourself and walk up to the 22nd floor. No parent would do that. No sane parent would do that.
Yeah.
And so it's like your kid may say, oh, I want to play games with my friends. I want to do this or that. And then they just go, okay, here's the phone. And they don't prepare their child. They don't prepare, My son is 16. he won't have social media probably in my house, because for a young man, that's even so much more temptation, right? And these apps are set up to allow kids to go down rabbit holes without parents knowing. They really are.
Did you see recently they've released a phone? Maybe it's in development. I think it is released now. And it's built into the phone, this AI. You can't take it off. It's not an app. It's built into the phone. And if any nudity goes onto the screen, it will immediately exit that app.
Oh, really?
Yeah, inclusive of Netflix.
Oh,
anything.
Okay.
A picture that gets sent, you'll see it for half a second.
Yeah.
But then it will exit.
Really?
Yeah, it's built into it. You cannot get it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be my son's phone.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. I mean, I don't blame you, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was probably over the last year and a half, I'm not as up as I was, but I was very up on all the apps.
Yeah.
And all
I'm
the
tempted to get
blockers.
that phone because, you just got to protect yourself.
You do.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I have to show my son because he's like, why can't I have Instagram? And I'll just pull up my app, my feed, and every 6 or 7, there's some woman on there, right? And I just have to hit not interested. I tell him, like, I have to do this over and over again, and it'll get okay for a while, but ultimately it comes back up. And he right now, as a 16-year-old young man, is still building the muscle on how to say no to himself, right? As a boy, we get whatever we want, but becoming a man means you don't get whatever you want, and you can't act on every impulse. There's too many men walking around thinking like little boys still, and the fact is, like, he's still building that muscle. Yeah, and the fact is, in 2-3 years when he's out on his own and he has his own Xbox and things like that, he has to make that choice. Right?
It's actually why I like the process of fasting. It's brilliant. You know, you're putting yourself into even 24 hours of fasting, and you're stressing your body to the point where you feel it all the time.
Yeah, I know.
The first day and the second day are the worst. Yeah, and you feel it all the time, and you have to see things and say no. Even if it's something so simple. Yeah, absolutely. And you build that, and you just do that, a few times a year. And I believe it builds a resilience in other areas, like, a naked girl's popped up on my Instagram. Yeah. Not interested. Yeah, totally. And it literally will, I believe the way that the algorithm works is if you linger on that, it starts to pick up on that. Yeah, totally. Like it's all these little things you think it's just, it reads so much into, even if you think you've got the restraint to like just scroll past it, even if you slowly scroll past it, it picks that up and it's like, oh man. And then all of a sudden more shows up and it's like, just got to keep hitting no. And it's hard. That's why I like the idea of that phone. That's like, no, it's almost just going to stop all of that stuff just like that. Yeah, and say what you want about Apple, but they really are the phone that has the most parental controls and things like that. Oh, yeah. Like they really do. Like, and so my son does have a phone, but there's all the controls, all the downtime, all that stuff's on it. It's very limited for him, because we have given him some leeway, and he's found some stuff he shouldn't have found. And I'm pretty convinced in this day and age that most young men, it's not an if, but it's a when they'll be exposed to it. Yeah. Like there's just too much going on in this world. Too many kids have phones. And it's on everything too. It is. Like man. It is. Porn used to be on porn sites. Or only. Magazines, dude. I was reading magazines. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I didn't get into internet porn until I was in my 20s. You had to go find it to find it. You know? Yeah. But now it finds you. Yeah. Everything's changed. I look at it like this. In the Garden of Eden, you've got God says to Adam and Eve, all of these trees around you, you can eat of all the fruit. Yeah. They'll give you life. You can live off that. But this one tree in the middle is going to bring death and destruction. Yeah. So we still live in a Garden of Eden, but it's a reverse garden. You got one tree in the middle, the tree of life, and everything else is bringing you death and destruction. I like that. And we still have that free will, but now the gate is narrow. The way is very, very narrow. And everything is trying to grab your attention. Everything's trying to pull you towards the death and destruction. And we have to almost, the way our eyes work, like hawks, like it narrows in, everything else is blurred in your peripheral vision, and you can see clearly the one thing you're focusing on. Yeah. we have to view that tree like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing we need to keep our eyes on.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you look at that, like driving, as long as you're looking on the road where you're going, you're not going to crash.
Yeah.
But if you look around as you're driving, you will hit something.
Yeah.
You have to stay on target.
That's so good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been my course over the last year or so, is just really revamping myself to be that single-minded man.
Yeah.
And to really just be focused on who I am, where I'm at in life right now, my marriage, my kids, the ministry God has in front of us.
So how many kids you got?
2.
You got 2 kids.
Yeah, my daughter's 17. She'll be 18 in December. And then my son turned 16 back in July.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, they're fun.
Awesome, and that's a great age.
They're great. Yeah, it's like
you kind of got your freedom back.
Yeah, my wife and I bombed down to Bangkok last weekend to watch the women's national.
Can you just leave the kids at home?
Yeah.
They'll be okay.
Yeah, my daughter's got her bike license. They've got money. They've got Grab on their phone. You know, like they're sad, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Don't burn the house down. Don't kill each other. Love each other.
I'm the total opposite.
Yeah.
Total dependency stage, 1-year-old.
Yeah. You're kind of stuck.
But he's lovely. Like, man, he's a cool kid.
Those are fun ages. I mean, every season, every age had its pros and cons, and its joys and sadness, and its intentionality. But ultimately, as long as you're an intentional parent and like you really view what you're doing as a gift from God that you're responsible for, then every season is a blessing. It really is. Like, I mean, our house even with just the 2, can be pretty chaotic, a lot of emotion, a lot of hormones. My son, we moved here to Chiang Mai, and he shot up like 6-7 inches. So he's like 5'10" now, 180 pounds. I'm only 5'7" and 3/4, man. So like, he's over me. And so every once in a while he'll like stand up and I'll be like,
are you really only 5'7"?
Yeah, 5'7" and 3/4.
Like we're the same height.
No, I'm short, man. Yeah.
I have not picked up on that.
I feel tall in Thailand.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
You look tall from distance.
Yeah, from distance. Yeah. But every once in a while he'll stand up and look at me. I'm like, oh, is today the day? Are you going to take me on? Is it time? And I'll get this smile. He's like, no, not. It's not time yet, Dad. It's not time. But,
so how did you get here?
Yeah. So basically, after about 6.5 years at Calvary Monterey, my wife and I, we knew the change was coming. So we did our typical youth ministry summer where like, we do a senior prom, senior trip, middle school camp, high school camp, or a high school work project. And then the end of the summer was a trip here to Chiang Mai. We were bringing 25 high schoolers here, my wife and I and 8 other adults. So a team of 35 here to Chiang Mai with WRG, the foundation we work with. And they did our short-term mission trip, 10 days. So over those 10 days, we split into 3 teams. We actually let my daughter, who was 16 at the time, go on another team. So we didn't see her for 5 days or so while she was up in another village than what we were in. And so during that time, God was working on us, all individually. My son was 14 at the time. He's very different thinking than the rest of us. They call him twice exceptional. Have you heard of that before?
No.
So guys like Elon Musk have this. He's ADHD, attentive ADHD, and phase 1 autism.
Okay.
So he just sees the world differently. He's completely functional. He's a genius. He's really smart, actually. Too much for his own good, honestly. He thinks he's the smartest one in the room every time. Like, I'm a complete dummy to him.
Yeah.
So, but he just sees the world differently, processes differently, right?
Yeah.
So he's going through his stuff. I learned early on in ministry that when we're at camps and mission trips, that it's not my job to husband my wife. She belongs to Jesus, right? Like, and I know that sounds kind of weird. That can have a null explanation, but ultimately we are not just a married couple, but we're brother and sister in Christ serving the kingdom. So God is sanctifying her differently than he's sanctifying me, right? So definitely on mission trips, we've just learned that like God has things to say to each of us, and it's not my job necessarily to husband her in those times, right? She's discipling girls, she's walking, that kind of stuff. So God's kind of talking to each one of us differently. My daughter's up in the mountains of Padang, like eating frogs and telling these villagers about Jesus, like just having this crazy time. and so every move that now you're gonna get this is crazy. So every move that we've ever made, my wife has laid out fleeces before the Lord, right? Now we're not thinking Thailand's it. We're not thinking it's time to move. We're just not. We're like, we're here. Our kids are in high school. Let's get them through high school. Let's just keep doing the ministry we're doing. And like then we'll see what God has for us once our kids are kind of off and started in life. And so, but my wife's feeling this. So she's praying. So one of them was my son, right? Like, can my son live here? Can my son function here? Can he thrive here? And we see this different Seth here. It was just this freedom from the burdens of kind of like traditional school and like the pressures of it and things like that. We just saw freedom in him. She knew in me, like, I'm always ready to go. I'm always ready to serve Jesus, right? And then my daughter, we connect again after her village time, and she runs up to me after I hadn't seen her for 5 days, and she grabs my face and she goes, Dad, we need to be here. This is where God is calling us to be. So 16-year-old moving from her friends, her sports, her like environment in high school, right? Like she was like, we need to be here. So the last one that my wife has always laid out before the Lord is God. She says, God, show me something where I'm at that I love. So I know that you're with me here, and then show me that you're going to be there when we move, right? Something there, right? So God is always, so when we moved to Santa Cruz, it was a verse God gave her. The first time we went to the church, the verse was up in the youth room, like that kind of thing, like things like that. So get this. So we're on our last day here as a mission trip. We do the elephant excursion. So like we're going down this river on this.
You'd have to.
Yeah. Oh, you got to, right? Last day, you know? And so we're going down this river in these bamboo rafts. It's just my wife and I on one of them. We're just kind of taking it in. My mind is like, I get a 4-week vacation after this, right? I get home, I turn to my receipts. I'm on a 4-week, I'm basically the month of August, I'm like on vacation, right? 'Cause summer's nuts. And so we're going down the raft, and my wife and I are just kind of talking, not really talking about moving here, anything like that. I know we'll process that in our vacation. And so we get to the end of the raft, and a guy comes down from the van, and he's wearing this long sleeve shirt, tie guy. He turns around, and my wife goes, there it is. And I knew what she meant. And I look up, and the guy's shirt is Monterey, California, Phil's Fish Market. This tie's never been to California. He's Corinne, right? He's like over the, he's never been there, but his shirt is, and Phil's Fish Market is one of our favorite date spots. Like it's got fresh seafood, the best chipino you ever have. Like it's delicious. But she goes, there it is. And I knew exactly what she said, what she meant by this. And God was showing us that he knows where we're at, and he's putting something there in the place he wants us to go. This is just a fleece my wife has laid out. God has answered it every time before we've moved. So I'm like, okay, like I need to start praying. And so we finish the trip. We get home Friday night, sleep most of the day Saturday. I'm choosing to go to church on Sunday to turn in all my receipts, so then Monday I can go on vacation, right? So I'm up. It's like 2 a.m. I can't sleep because of jet lag. So I'm on the front porch, literally Googling how to move a family of 4 to Chiang Mai. I'm watching YouTube videos and like all these expats and things like that. Yeah. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, how do we do this? Like, I'm a youth pastor living on the California coast. Like we got no money. We got, how do you even start this? And I close my computer, and I'm just like, God, what do I do? And for probably one of the times out of 3 in my life, I heard God's voice. And he said, you're not moving your family to Chiang Mai. I'm moving them there. And I just put my hands up. I said, okay, God, I'll just say yes. And from that point to January 30th, 2024 was 6 months. And in 6 months, we were living in Chiang Mai. Like from the time we landed after the mission trip to the time we moved here was 6 months. And we had sold everything, raised over 100% of the support.
What, so you only came here last year?
Yeah, January 2024, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We got here at the end of 2024.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
December.
Yeah, you're even newer than us, man. Yeah. Yeah, so we're pretty fresh here. But God covered all of it. Our visas went through flawlessly. The
Which
money
one
was
are you
raised. Right now I'm on a Nano under the foundation.
Yeah.
My wife and kids are on a language visa. We actually just started their second year.
Nice.
So, yeah, we'll finish that out and then reassess, see what we want to do. But yeah. So we just knew God wanted us here.
That's awesome.
And honestly, we didn't do a lot of research. It's not like I had this enduring love for the ties with the Corinne. I do now. And even the foundation, we didn't know a whole lot about. But we knew this was where God was leading us. So God was there, and we want to be close to God. Yeah. And that's the whole call, right? Like the love for things come later. There's but ultimately, like that's just what we knew. So I'm so glad we did, man. This has been the healthiest move we could have made for our family.
So what are you guys doing now in here? You're working with WRG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we are, with the foundation that kind of there's a bunch of different things. We have campus ministry. We have English classes. We go into the schools. We have Chinese outreach. We have missionaries still in China from David and Lorna's kind of start of their ministry in China.
Yeah. One of John came over here just to have coffee.
Oh, okay.
Last week.
Oh, really?
And he was telling me that there was a Chinese group that came just recently.
Yeah, Kaitoja. Yeah,
and he was saying that they had literally, I think I might have this story wrong a little bit, but it's along the lines of they lost this child, and then they actually used somebody to track, like through trafficking, then used somebody to track this child for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then they found this child and they purchased her back. And so they had to like buy somebody, and now they're like reunited and things like that. But like they're crazy. Like you just don't get that. Like in New Zealand where I'm from, that's just not something that
in the West too. Yeah. And we don't, those are just like stories you read in a Christian magazine or something like that, you know.
They almost sound like so horrible that they're fake, but they're true. They're en masse.
Yeah. These Chinese missionaries, we had a conference with them a couple of weeks ago. So we flew them all into Chiang Mai, separate airlines, separate flights, had them stay in different hotels the first night. And then we took them to Juniper Tree. And they've got cigarette burns on their faces, things like that from being
they've actually been tortured.
Yeah, being tortured or interrogated, things like that. They live in extreme poverty because their stuff is just taken, and so they're amazing Christians. But this is where David and Lorna started. These are their people.
That's right, because they were in China for a long time.
Yeah. So our organization has ties there. We have ties in Burma. But my wife and I specifically are running the internship, and so we call it Disciples Journey Internship. It focuses on one-on-one raising up healthy disciples of Jesus, not just in a ministry mindset, but truly their life, like physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, socially, like that they could be healthy people growing and maturing to be more like Christ. And then a mission immersion. Basically, they do mission work with us, and so it's kind of the twofold discipleship there, kind of internship. And then we run the short-term teams. So churches from the West, UK. We've had a team from China, teams from the Philippines come out, and they do a 10, 12-day trip with us. They support our ministries and the ministries that we're doing in Lamphun district and here in Chiang Mai. So those are like the two things we're over. We also branch into the Thai outreach stuff, and kind of because of our interns, we kind of serve in every little branch of WRG.
Wow. Wow. Man, that's what a call to move your whole family over. I mean, I can relate to a point.
Yeah.
Moving from a Western nation, New Zealand is very similar to America in a lot of ways.
Okay.
So moving from where we are over to here has been so much of a change, but the culture, in a way, like you really do develop a heart for the Thai people, and it grows so quick because they're just lovely people as well. Like it's very easy to get a heart for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The Thais in Corinne that are here, they're beautiful. They really are. And
the Land of Smiles is well suited.
Yeah.
That name.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite work that we get to do is we go into Lamphun, which is, I think, the smallest district of the 77 here in Thailand. It's about an hour drive from here. And then we go into these small Korean villages that are up in the mountains that most of them don't have electricity.
Yeah.
They can't recall ever having a missionary there. Yeah. And so we're really seeing doors open with these village leaders and their voodoo doctors and things like that, where we get to like share Jesus for the first time. And the Korean have an old lore. Have you ever heard this before? They're like, so they say like the Korean people that generations ago, they were working and someone brought them a book of knowledge. And it was like some people say it's a gold book. Some of them say it's a leather bound, but this book of knowledge. But they were so busy working, they left it on a stump, didn't read it, and then it disappeared. But the lore goes that their little brother would bring it back one day. The little brother's white. So for months, I was going to these villages, and our pastor, our Asani, right, or Ajan that was taking us out there, was referring to me as little brother. And I always had my leather Bible with me, and I'm talking about this Jesus, that they'd never heard about, right? Yahweh, the God above all gods, the God above the gods they sacrifice to, and the spirits that they're afraid of, and all these things. And finally, I was like, why are you referring to me as a little brother? And he tells me this story. And so now when I go into these villages, they call me Jorge. They give me a name. And so it's good brother in Korean. And it's my favorite part of being here. I love going to these villages. And I mean, I've eaten gold.
So you almost like prophesized to come bring the word.
I don't know if it's me, but just like the West, I guess. Yeah. They're like,
but their story was like, God's definitely using stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
all over. I've heard a few stories like that where this last lady who came on the podcast, she worked alongside Reinhard Bonnke for ages.
Oh yeah, okay.
And she talks about a story where she was in Papua, Indonesia, and they were going to go see cannibals and talk to them. I mean, she said as long as she goes before breakfast and after breakfast and before lunch, she's okay.
Yeah, what are they going to eat today? Yeah. Oh,
there's what is the term? My friend's coming over for dinner is a very different saying.
Yeah, really. Oh man, I haven't eaten any people, but I've had golden orb spiders. I've had raw squirrel. It's horrible.
Ew.
Yeah, they do lap. You ever had lap before? It's a raw dish. They chop up real fine. They have the blood and guts and all these spices in.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I've had raw pork, definitely dewormed after that. Raw buffalo and then raw squirrel. It's just
tasty.
It's horrible. Like it tastes actually really good. The spices are incredible.
Yeah.
But the metallic blood and like knowing that you're eating a raw squirrel.
Yeah.
It's just, and then of course in the West, raw pork. Like that's a big no-no, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Deworming's a real thing out here. You gotta do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this lady goes and they're flying with a helicopter to these cannibals. And then basically what happens is there's a massive storm and the helicopter has to do an emergency landing.
Okay.
The pilot goes, I don't have enough fuel. If the storm carries on, it's restricting now the distance. They're way up in the mountains and they force this landing on a clearing. And then all these basically naked people start coming out of the jungle, cannibals.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, run. So they run, you jump out of the helicopter and they run to this little hut. They get inside the hut. And one of our translators goes, I can understand these guys. I can understand their dialect. They're saying they just want to talk. So she opens it up and goes, what do they want to say? And they say, don't run from us. We've been, we've been having dreams of a white lady that's going to come and share the truth with us.
Yeah.
And we've been praying and we saw your helicopter.
Yeah.
So we prayed that the storm would stop you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
okay.
And she was praying that the storm would stop.
Yeah.
So she was praying against the storm.
Oh,
and what she got from that is sometimes the storm you're in is the storm you're meant to be in.
Yeah. Oh, amen.
And it was like,
oh, it's so good.
Whoa. So it was like, going into these villages and things like that with some of the stuff, you got to have such an open mind, witch doctors and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
And amazing. Like the stuff God's doing with these people way up in the mountains, like they're getting these dreams and visions of and prophecies through like witch doctors and things like that, where the witch doctor is like, I'm hearing this name, Yeshua, Jesus, like what? I don't know what it is. But when I use this name, the demons that I use submit.
Yeah.
Like they don't don't even know why. And it's just incredible stuff.
That's really good.
But so tell me a little bit about, before we finish, where do you think God's taking you in the next 12 months?
12 months.
You and your family.
Yeah, it's a good question. Right now, it's kind of planning for next year. We've got 11 teams signed up. 2 interns coming in April next year. We got 2 right now that will leave in November. And so we see ourselves here. We really want to really usher our kids into adulthood well. And so my daughter graduates kind of end of this year, beginning of next year, and want to really help her get settled in life. She wants to get her RN degree, registered nurse, certificate or whatever that is back in the States. And my son is really interested in the trades. And so kind of engineering type trade stuff. And so right now it's just them finishing high school. Like it's a huge part of just their job right now, is to be parents, to walk them through that. And then to kind of help them usher. And so my wife and I are just kind of in a place we'll get our kids through this season, get them started in life, and then we'll kind of see what God has for us. So I see us at WRG for the next, 3 years or so, pretty steady. And then that'll put us about 5 years here. And that's kind of our plan. When we landed, we were like, all right, we'll look at 5 years and we'll see what God does. Because we didn't know a lot. We were just being obedient. which I don't recommend everybody does.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was what we were called to do in the moment. So we were obedient. We trusted God. Yeah. And so we're here. We're here right now. And we'll see what God does with us after that. You know, my wife and I, we've thrown around the idea of doing a podcast like this or a counseling, kind of everything that we've been through in our life with our health and our healing process. Like, do we get our counseling degrees?
Yeah.
You know, do we write a book? Like, what's, you know, kind of the thing. 20 years of ministry is, I mean, that's a lot to take in, you know, and what we've experienced through it all. And so I don't know, we'll see what God does. I'm
awesome.
Honestly enjoying the ministry detox.
Yeah.
Like not being in church ministry right now. Like I didn't realize kind of how burned out I was, honestly.
Yeah.
So Chiang Mai was exactly, being here as a missionary was exactly what I needed. And so I'm actually really enjoying that season. My kids are loving living here and experiencing God in different ways.
Yeah.
I work with my wife, like we're hand in hand, and it's like 83% really good. And there's about 17% that's like, this is, why are we doing this to ourselves, you know? But she's an amazing minister. She loves the Lord. She's an amazing counselor and discipler. And so, yeah, it's one of those, we're just taking it kind of season by season and what God has for us, but we love it. We absolutely love what we get to do and what God's doing through us. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, it's been great to hear kind of your story and how God's used every part of your life to go from strength to strength, even when there's many doors that have been opened as you've been sharing. You could have gone down a very different path quite easily.
Oh yeah.
And God's just been constantly like nudging you towards the right path. Yeah. Even when, many people would have stumbled in a lot of those areas. But it's great to see you hold fast.
Yeah, thanks.
And also, you know, I can tell, I haven't met your kids yet or your wife, but like how careful you are as a person with how you're raising them. And the Bible says that, raise your kids in the ways of the Lord, they shall not depart.
Amen. Yeah.
And I think it's great. I'm really happy that we met.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Me too, man. Yeah, this is good. This is good.
Joshua, where can people partner with you and find you and connect with you if they want to partner in prayer, financially, or any other way?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. If people are interested in what we're doing, they can always follow us on social media. So my Instagram is daily_courageous at Instagram so it'd be at daily_courageous.
Okay, we'll put it in the description as well.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I'm like, do I spell it out? And then if you just want to talk and kind of hear more about what we're doing, get signed onto our newsletter, send me an email at dailycourageous@gmail.com. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of the Jesus Magnet.
There we go.